All right, I'm going to put something up here, I hope. Yeah, look at that. Would you just read that a second, if you would, please? I'll explain that again in a little bit, but can we read this together? Lord, I will be who you want me to be. I will do what you want me to do. I will go. Amen. I'm going to explain this a little bit more in just a little bit, but I wanted to start with this morning. I'm going to just give you a heads up right now. If you're here visiting, it's going to be different today. So I guess in a way I'll apologize ahead of time. I want you to see this prayer that is up here. Caden's birthday is this week. What is the date today? 24th? 24th, so on the 28th. So that's 4 days from now, according to my Trigo Community High School education. That's 4 more days to the 28th. And obviously he's in Florida. He's not with us, so we won't be around, but it'll be his 22nd birthday this week. And it hits me a little bit whenever he has a birthday because he is on my half birthday. So there's a whole story behind that with Leanne in the delivery room, but I get in trouble every time I talk about the delivery room, so I'm not going there on that. And she's already worried when I say delivery room. She's getting tense that something is coming. But he's on my half birthday, which means I am 6 months away from my birthday. And you know how old I'm going to be when that birthday comes? Who said that? You are the man. Times that by 2 plus. I think somebody said 50, right? I'll be 50 in 6 months, which is weird for me to think about. When I think of Caden's birthday and think 6 months from now, I will be 50 years old. I don't know why, but that number, more than any, has just been weird for me to think about in my life. And I think part of it is because if I realize that if I live to be the average age of a male in the United States of America today, it dawned on me that I will have already lived half the life, or no, I will only have half the life to live that I've already lived. Does that make sense? The average lifespan is 76. I've only got half of my life left that I've already lived, and that was like a realization that hit me, but it actually wasn't now when I turned 50. It started hitting me about 5 or 6 years ago, and it led to what I call my midlife realization. Other people call it a midlife crisis. But it was my midlife realization that led me to definitely do more just deeper soul searching, like when I'm starting to think, man, if I only have this many years left. And I was off. I thought both of my grandpas actually died younger than they actually did. So I was even going, man, if I'm even like my grandpas and die at their age, I only have this much time. But it just led me to a lot of like deeper, what am I going to do with my life? Like, how am I going to spend those remaining days of my life? If let's just say I live to the average one and I've got 26 years left, what am I going to do with this? And you get to hear it because that's what I preach out of, is my own just soul searching, and what I feel is important is God, what do you want me to do? It's definitely led me to a stronger and deeper desire to be someone who lives out the remaining years of his life with some form of this prayer that we just read. It's led me in some form to be, I want to be that. It's definitely led me to lean in even more to the challenge that Charles Wright gave me when I was looking at helping at the Red Line Church of God. Now it's been like 10 years ago already, I think. And I remember standing there going, Charles, I can't do this. And he asked why, and I said, because it's pretty clear, because of history and because of everything else. I mean, that church was literally built by my uncle and my grandpa. They have so much family, so much history. So it's really clear that they are wanting him. That's what they think they're getting, but I am not. And I'm going to disappoint them when they find that out. And I'll just never forget Charles looking at me and going, Jared, Acts 13:36. Which I was like, what in the world is that? mean, can anybody just quote Acts 13:36? And he said, David served God's purposes in his own generation, and then he fell asleep. He was buried with his ancestors, and his body decayed, which I thought, well, that's morbid. Great, thank you, Charles, for that. I'm like, what does that have to mean? And he goes, Jared, your grandpa did the best in his generation in his time, and it's your turn to do it in yours. And that's all you need to worry about. And that's why I've got it tattooed on my wrist as a reminder, because through this thinking of what am I going to do with the remainder of my life, I want to be one that when my time comes, if that's what is written on there and take out the word David for my name, then okay. Then I think I was the one who was being who he wanted me to be, doing what he wanted me to do, going where he wanted me to go, and basically just living out the purpose for which he created me. On top of that, it's taken me back to a passage of Scripture that I've wrestled with for so long. So many different times, so many different places in ministry since I really came to a point where I'm like, okay, God, I'm yours, while I was out in Oregon at Warner Pacific College. It's what's led me to ask that question I've been asking you again. Who are we following? There is one piece of advice given by the wisest human being who has ever lived, named Solomon, that you've heard me share many times, that we do so well putting on a plaque on a wall, or maybe even some sort of a bumper sticker or a note in there, but so hard to actually live out. And it's the one that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. And in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he'll make your path straight. I found myself over and over and over at different times wrestling with this, which we just went through this with our young people towards the end of the school year, and we broke it down. Break that down. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Think about this that he's sharing. The reason I go back into this when I'm saying, God, I want to be who you want me to be, do what you want me to do, go where you want me to go. I want to be the guy that they say, so Jared served God's purposes in his own generation, and then he fell asleep. He was buried with his ancestors, and his body decayed. If that's what's written on there, then how? How do I know where to go? And I believe this is the key. It says, trust me with all of your heart, which honestly, over and over, I've struggled. How do you trust him with all of your heart? Different people have my heart. Leanne has my heart. My family has my heart. My kids have my heart. These kids have my heart. You guys have my heart. How do you do that? And I've wrestled with that so much. Like, God, how do I trust you with all my heart when there's all these people and things that you put in my life that I love with my heart? And I began to realize he's saying, no, trust me with all your heart and love them within that. He's saying, let your heart belong to me and let me lead you to them in the way that I go. Give it to me. And that's what he's telling us in this. Trust me with your heart. Trust me with all your heart. And let these things fall under that. Then he says, do not lean on your own understanding. Lean on. Do not trust in and support yourself as what that is interpreting. Do not trust in and support yourself with your own understanding, with your own faculties, with your own knowledge, with your own wisdom, with your own discernment, or as the New Living Translation says it, do not depend on your own stuff. But instead, in all your ways, acknowledge him. What it's talking about when it's translated acknowledge him is know him, perceive and see him, find out and discern him, consider him. Or again, New Living Translation, seek his will in all you do. Or the NIV, submit to him. And he says, here's what will happen as you're figuring this out. I will make your paths straight. Which is still, even after all these years of wrestling with it, so hard to figure out. And it was actually my son who brought this up not long ago when we were talking about it, something he learned at the college he's at. And he goes, Dad, people don't realize he says the word paths. It's an active, living thing. I will continue to guide you on paths throughout your life. I won't make your path straight. I won't put you on one thing and here you go and just keep going. I will continue to show you as you trust me with everything and you acknowledge me and you seek me and you consider me and discern me and you allow yourself to submit to me, I will put you on there. Or as the New Living Translation says, he will show you which path to take. This is what I've wrestled with regularly with God in my life ever since he really got a hold of it. This is what actually led us back to this town and this church family that we were not expecting 15 or 16 years ago. Was this. When we were in Newburgh at River Street Church of God, we actually challenged the church to be a Proverbs 3, 5, 6 church, and we wrestled with this together. I don't know if a lot of people don't actually know the story, but we didn't come back here to be pastoring this church. We actually came back to Leanne was working at Fort Hayes, her alma mater, and we're going to plant a church in Hayes. And that same guy that encouraged me on this, it was so important, said, no, you're not. And actually discouraged us, said it ain't going to happen. And then through some very difficult times here, I happened to be just hanging around painting houses, pretending like I knew car parts. And people, they started calling and saying, hey, you want to talk with leadership as they went through this? Hey, would you speak every once in a while? And then, hey, would you keep speaking? And that's why we joke, I don't even know my start date. I don't know when we started. People are like, when did you start? I don't know, actually. Like 2000 something, like 10, 11 something. I don't even know when it actually started. But I've been wrestling with it again for the past 6 months to a year. And it's what led me to turn in this piece of paper to the board of servant leaders Monday night. Letting them know that it seems as though God's leading us down a different path. In a new season on this part of the journey. And I'll try and tell you it a little bit here. Leanne's told me short is better. So I'm going to live in that. But it's become clear that God is leading us further south down the road to serve in connection with a church called Fresh Start Community Church and more connected to Mid-America Christian University in Oklahoma City. And this here says it'll start at the end of the summer. I'll try and keep it short. Obviously, you guys can ask questions anytime you want when we're done here today. But it actually began about 2 years ago on a walk. And I didn't really know what was going on. But I've told you there's been different times on these walks when I'm not mad at the dog, God is talking to me. And for you guys, we've sought him a lot. Through some tough stuff, not so fun stuff, good stuff, everything. And about 2 years ago, I was on Junction, and it was just one of those where you just felt like he said, your life's really going to change in 2 years. Be ready. And I remember it was so real to me. I came home and told Leanne, it was weird. I think God said, your life's really going to change in 2 years. But it doesn't mean we're moving. That's the first thing I told her. Because obviously in our mind we're going, well, duh, Morgan's going to graduate. We're finally empty nesters. We can go do some of these things we've talked about wanting to do, going to conferences, doing some different stuff. I'm sure that's what it is. And then things became amazing here. People that became a part of this church, the stories, the life change, the testimonies. We're like, well, yeah, my life has changed. This is my favorite time of ministry ever, and I'm not living in the moment. That's not a prisoner of the moment. It is my favorite time of ministry ever. The group of young people that I get to hang out with, that we get to witness as a community at almost age 50 and not be a creeper, but actually enjoy being with them. The well, was like, this is obviously it. But then, as you know, because you've known what she's been doing, many of you, out of the blue, Leanne received a phone call, which she receives a lot of phone calls because she's good at what she does. I always say she's headhunted a lot. There's been many opportunities. But this one was a little different. In fact, she kind of said no, pushed back on it a little bit, but they really wanted her, and that was at Mid-America Christian University. In fact, recently we even said, I wonder what led them to call. To help relaunch the Thomas School of Global Leadership, to develop a doctrinal program, to do all these things in that department, they pursued her, and we went back and forth with them a long time. Because obviously there's a little bit in the back of our head going, uh-oh, with all this going on, so what does this mean? But they were very gracious. Lane was very direct. We're not moving. We're not giving up Morgan's senior year. We're not missing anything. We're not going to be caught there when she's got something going on here. We want to take all this in, and they were very good at working with that. So she's been working remotely, but having to go back at times and be on campus because you need to. It's also hard though, because her main gift is working with students personally in a classroom and walking with them. And we've seen that from her time at Fort Hays, the many students that are still connected even today because of her. But even then, we just still said, I'm not going looking for churches. I'm not going to do that because we did not feel we were supposed to. But about a year ago, at the end of July, we were headed to Cincinnati to visit my coach and to tour the area before we took a bunch of teenagers there this summer and get a lay of the land. It was her idea to rendezvous there. And on the way there, just as I get ready to pull up to the airport in Salina, I get a phone call. And I'd had a number of different churches call as well. They knew where we were coming, especially out in Oregon. They've been asked if we'd be willing to come back. One of them, more recently, was getting ready to shut their doors and said, would you be willing to come before we do this? None of them felt like, no, we're good. When I got this phone call, there was a part of me that went, first part of me went, no, we're good. But another part of me that went, they just said, hey, we found out that our pastor's resigning, and we're just wondering if we can put your name out there on the list. We're all supposed to come up with names. We're wondering if we could put your name on there. To be honest with you, I knew the people they were asking. I thought there's no way it's going anywhere anyway. And I just had this feeling to say, yeah, you can put my name on there. And so I did. We talked afterwards, and actually when we got done, I was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be good. Didn't hear anything again until I don't know the end of September, October, that I get a phone call saying, hey, could we talk to you from their actual search team, which was obviously a little bit scary. Leanne was not around. I said, I'd talk to you. Leanne was not around. So I had the meeting by Zoom on my own, and when she came home, she said, how was it? I said, unfortunately, it was a really good conversation. Because deep down, I didn't want it to go well. It didn't take long, and they called back and said, can we have another one? And then just continued in conversations. But all the way through, we were very direct. We love where we're at. We're not looking to go. This has to be a God thing. And it was actually a little before Christmas, where it really got serious enough on their end. And we just said, no, we can't do that. Not with everything we're going through right now. But they've been patient. They've been loving. But they felt real, that you're the ones that are supposed to be here. And so the last 6 months especially have been more intense in here, in conversation, in trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him and let Him direct your paths. It's been a battle of wills between me and God. I've had a coach that I've talked to you about that has been great. Other people I've been able to talk to who have been so helpful. And about 4 weeks ago, I knew it had come to a point where I needed to decide for their sake, because they've been so patient, so caring. It wasn't fair to them. It had been almost a year for them now. For us and for me. And I can tell you the week came that I gave myself a deadline that I needed to make a decision. and my stomach was in knots. I was praying that God would find a way to say, no, that's not it. I just wanted to lead you to here, just to go through this. But on one of those same walks in almost the same spot, when I said, God, stop this. And it's not, listen, they're a great group of people. That's why it got this far. It's nothing against them. It's because I love you. And it's like, God, I don't want to go. Truthfully, we're comfortable. I don't want to follow my child. I want her to have what my son had, what I had. I think it's good for them. God, stop this. And just as clear as he said, in 2 years, something's going to be different, he said, you already know the answer, and you're not going to have peace until you just give in. And it was on Junction that said, okay, this is what we're doing. And I will tell you, my immediate feelings were sadness and a little bit scared, but an unexplainable peace that this is where he's leading us, not for just me, but for you too. All the way around. I'm extremely sad. Wanted to throw up in conversations. I have moments where songs, whether it's singing The Blessing or this morning on a walk, I'm just so thankful that people aren't out on walks, so they're just going to call me the crying pastor. Because it just hits out of nowhere. Because there's been so many emotions through all of it that it's just almost hard, and then it just hits. But also a peace when I realize, God, we're having a battle of the wills. And if I'm going to be the one that says, I want to be what I'm preaching to others, then I've got to do it too. And so we called them and said, okay. And they've been so good. They've stayed quiet out of respect to you, out of respect to me. They have not been pushy. They've been patient. They've not been spiritually manipulating. They've been very caring. They've been praying out of understanding for this congregation. They've been really good through all of it. But we came to a point where we said, this is what's going to happen, and Monday night I turned this in. So from here, here's where we're at. We have a summer together. I've had many people say, are you taking a summer teaching break? And my answer has been no, and you've been disappointed in that, which I'm still not sure how to take that. Like, are we doing that? No. Dang it, I liked it. Well, this is why. Because I want more time with you. We still have a summer together because we did tell them we're not doing anything until it's time to move her. Largely in part because we realize she will not have a home to come back to, which is important to her. That's been part of the wrestling match. So we're going to give her a summer with her friends, which means there's going to be a lot of battle of the wills at home when she wants to go out all the time when we say no. But she's going to have a good excuse. But we're not going until that time when we have a summer together. The Board of Servant Leaders, we actually talked to and said this may be coming before they were willing to serve again. Because I said, I want you to know what you might be getting into. And can I tell you, because they love you and they love the church, they thought about it. Some of them, I think, weren't going to go there, but felt like, yes, we'll serve because we care. And that's what God is leading us to do. And even some that didn't know until after the fact, we talked to and said, you can get off of this. And still been willing to serve because they care. And Monday night when I gave them this officially, even though they kind of knew, can I just tell you, probably the best board meeting we've ever had is you saw the level of leadership say, okay, next steps. And our process at the Waukene Church of God is they're going to have to nominate 3 people to be on a pulpit committee who you will then ratify, who will begin the search for whoever is going to be next. And they started that conversation, but in the midst of it, one of them just said, we need to stop a moment. We need to take the week to pray about this. He needs to tell the high school, which we gathered them together Thursday night and did, and they knew that pizza would bring them together and even offered to buy the pizza because they care. Need to make this announcement today, and on Wednesday they're going to get back together from all this and see where they go from there. And then that pulpit committee will do their job from here on out. My involvement will be as much as people want it to be. I'll be the biggest cheerleader. As I shared with Fresh Start, I'll share with you. We told them, listen, they're not in a city. People aren't looking at Western Kansas going, I want to go there. They're not looking at it going, hey, that's just going to be a cute little church in a tiny little town, unless they're at a phase of life that they like that. I'm going to be the one that gets to tell them that's not your cute little church in a nice little town. That's a pretty amazing church in a pretty amazing town with a lot of great young people and old and families and children and more than you even know. And I'll get to play that role in there. I'm thankful that it's an IYC summer. That we get one last hurrah in Cincinnati. And I know that they're going to probably push the limits even more, knowing, and I'll push right back. No, I'm actually very thankful that we get one last chance, because that's probably one of the hardest parts, is thinking about, one of my prayers is, God, give me 2 more years. Let me get through some more graduations. But as I kept praying that prayer, I was all the way down to 3rd grade before it'd be okay. And that's just because I don't know who's younger than that. I'm glad it's an IYC year. And on that same trip out to Cincinnati, when I got that call, maybe it's because it was in my head, but on the flight home, I told Leanne, it's kind of morbid, but I said, if this plane went down, the well has to keep going. We don't own it. A lot of people still don't understand that. It belongs to its own nonprofit. Just because of our job and stuff, we have more hand in it. But on the day-to-day, listen, we've got to get this set up. And so we've been working on that for a year, and we have someone who's going to start in June taking on the day-to-day to keep the well going in Waukeeny, because it was made for Waukeeny in Western Kansas. And there are so many people that people don't even know about that are utilizing it, that are struggling with the thing that was especially seen through Leanne, with mental and emotional health. That have people there that are caring for them and counseling them and working with them. So we have someone in place, and we'll be putting that out soon, that's going to keep that part going as well, and we'll still be part of the board, which gives us a good reason to say we got to go to Waukeeny every once in a while. Oh yeah, and parents are important too. We got to do that. I assume they know that. But what I ask of you in this is simply this. Don't think we're mad, first of all. Don't think we're disheartened, and don't think we're living for bigger or better. That's been brought up so many times, bigger and better, and that bothers me because you are bigger and better. I don't even like the mentality that just because it's there, it's bigger than better. You are bigger and better. That is why I can cheer you on. Again, I know how the world perceives places like this, but I also know there was a place called Nazareth that went, what good can come out of there? And there's been so much good that has come out of here. And so we're not mad at all. In fact, extremely sad and not disheartened. And we are not going to bigger and better. In fact, if you just even want to know, the church is the same size as you. Bigger building, but the same size. It's not what a lot of people think happens. It's just a different place. So don't think that. I ask you to stay involved. Your presence matters here. I've been saying that for so long, and it's not an accident. Whether you've been here before we got here, or just got here a week ago, or just got here a month or 2 ago, it's not an accident. God has been developing this all along the way. Your presence, your personhood, you are here, a part of this body, for a reason. In fact, I've said this so many times, this hasn't happened because of us. I get to stand here and see you and talk to you. But I had a conversation with somebody when we came back at a basketball game when I was struggling with all this. And in that conversation, they pulled me aside and they were telling me some amazing conversations that they got to have with people that we would not have expected them to have, and the response was like what we've been seeing here, and it was awesome, and was so excited to tell me about it. And when he got done, he's like, "I love you, man. You're so important." I might have said, "Couldn't have done it without you," and whatnot. And my first thought was, "Is how am I supposed to leave this?" And immediately the second thought was, "Because you didn't do it. They're okay." And so I ask you to stay involved because you are needed. And don't just stay involved, but go to the next step, the next level, the next part of the journey with Jesus together. Keep loving people. This town, the surrounding towns, this area needs this not cute little nice church, but this amazing group of people right here. They still need it. They still need you. And so together, go to the next step of the journey together. And just remember the words of the Apostle Paul. There are some that plant. There are some that water, but God is the one who's making it all grow. And my dream is that before we leave this summer, I get to hand the keys over to whoever's going next. It may not happen, but you're okay because God is the one that's making it grow. Stay involved and keep going on that journey. Happy Memorial Day, guys. Timing is terrible, and I know it. But there's been so much going on that we couldn't say anything before, and still from kids and their moments and everything else. But we also can't wait longer so people can keep moving and keep moving forward. I'll just share this, and then my shorter is better will be done. Okay. First of all, ask any questions you want coming down the road. I get it. All I ask is that you don't punch me, but you can do anything else. Okay? I want to tell this to you. While I was back at Warner this last week, that's partly why we didn't share anything last week, because I wanted to be able to have some time ahead of time. And Leanne was gone, taking Caden to Florida for his internship. I got to be on the campus of the school that actually was a big part of changing my life. Warner Pacific University now, used to be Warner Pacific College. And I got to present as part of this conference during the breakout groups. I got to present during the workshops in a classroom that I used to sit in and learn in. It's different, it's changed, but I got to present in there for a day with a woman that's actually going to be a speaker at IYC from Maryland. And because of all that, and seeing people that I was around for so many years, for 13 years, that I became so close to, I was flooded with memories of that campus. We were telling stories the whole time. We went to look to see if my burning bush was still gone. Like, we got all of that time in there, and I found myself just reflecting and missing and being sentimental about a period of time. And then it made me think about the Holiday Park Church of God when I first became an official youth pastor. And then the River Street Church of God, which is a unique way that God led us there, because I'll tell you, can I tell you something? The one church that I've ever applied to was this one. It was actually 20 years ago to be the youth pastor when Todd Boyle left. But at the moment, those in leadership didn't feel like that was the right call, which was hard, but it led me to River Street, which is amazing. And in the timing that it was supposed to be, he led us here. But it made me think of the memories at River Street, which then made me realize this is about to be another memory and another season in my life. But then what hit me was, thinking through seasons, I realized that Waukene has now raised me in 2 seasons in my life. The one from when we moved here with my family when I was a child till I graduated high school, and the one when we moved here in 2010 till 2026. Almost the same amount of time Waukene has raised me. It's a blessing. Someone's already brought up, you might come back in 20 years. Listen, I'll be 70 at that point. And 5 years away from that time, if the worship ones come up, by the way, I'm finishing this, okay? You guys have raised me twice. I can tell you right now, I am not who I was in 2010 when we got here. This church, the reason it's made me so sad to think about is because of who you have been. And there's been a lot of shifts and changes even in this time that have led to this place. This has not just been a physical remodel that's taken place, but spiritually, personally, all this other has as well. And that's why realizing that season and what you meant is what has made it so hard and so much turmoil over the last 6 months. But so many different conversations, different moments with God to let us to realize, yeah, that's where you're leading us there. This is where we'll be as a pastor. Just as much, I think we're going to be connected with this. And I believe it's going to connect it all back to here. But I will tell you that even though I'd made the decision, I was still struggling. But while I was in Oregon at that same conference, the first night of the main session, the speaker got done. And I was there just still processing, thinking about this moment, coming back to this, going, God, I still don't want to do this. You want to know how he ended his message? Can you have a moment that gets you more? I'm struggling. And this is what he puts up there. And the next morning he does it again. I just said, I get it, God. I get it. I love you. I've never been kidding when I say that. This is comfortable. This is home. You are home. But God has said that was your season here. And yep, it coincided with the ability to raise my children among you. But it's time to move farther south down the road. So we have a summer. I get an IYC. You have a leadership team that's going to work their tails off to care about you. Know that we're not mad. We're not moving to bigger and better. Stay involved. And go to the next level of this journey. Because I look forward to coming home and seeing my parents and my in-laws in the well and getting to be sitting back watching the story continue to unfold instead of be standing here in the front. Because I think it's going to be pretty amazing. And I'll tell you this, my prayer has been, God, send him someone better that's going to take him even further and that's going to love him even more. Because I love you. You stand, and this has been the song that's kind of been my prayer. And for your own sake, would you sing this song as a prayer today as we close this time? And then let's just take the rest of this journey together.
Trust in God, my Savior. I trust in God, my Savior. We just come and pray over Jared and Leanne.
I just want to say thank you to Jared and Leanne and Morgan and Caden for your dedication, the commitment to us as a church and also to the community, even though I'm not a part of this community. And just say thank you for the time that you've given to everybody. Please bow with me now, and as we say a prayer. God, we don't, or maybe I should say, I don't fully understand your timing, and I know Jared doesn't because we've had a conversation or two. But we both know that the one thing that you ask of us is to trust you, and that's hard to do because our human nature gets in the way sometimes. But I thank you so much for the fact that they haven't trusted you, and that leads to difficult decisions sometimes. But we do have your assurance that if we trust you, that you will show us which path to go down, and you will take care of us. Our hearts are heavy because we feel like we're losing a little piece of us and of our church. But I also realize that you knew exactly how many days Jared was going to be the pastor here before he came, and you know exactly what your plan is for the next step. And we have your assurance that if we trust you, you will guide us and show us what the next step is, not only for him and his family, but for us as a church also. And God, I would just ask that you bless each and every person that's here and show them what the next step is for them, and show us what the next step is for us as a church. And above all, show Jared and Leanne and Morgan what the next step is for them. And just give us all the peace that goes with your assurance. In Jesus' name, amen.